Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Ms. Zahara Kanchwala, the co-founder of Right Knowledge Labs, which is a content design and development services provider to enterprises. Hi Zahara, welcome to ELI.
Hi, Priya. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Zara, co-founder of Right Knowledge Labs. We are a content-first digital agency. We started about 6 years ago. So we create content, we do the UI, UX design and development. It's an end-to-end solution to digital assets like corporate websites and social media outreach programs today with a thought leadership approach. Yeah, that's it.
Tell us more about Right Knowledge Labs. What are the different services we provide? What is the scale of operation? Which industry we cater to primarily, and all?
Right. So I think we started about 6 years ago. Let me start with running you through the problem which we really started to solve and what
Sure.
it has evolved into us offering today. I think the problem is really the way businesses approach content creation for their digital assets. I mean, we all know content is king. Great content is an important asset. In fact, today, soft assets are equal, if not more important than hard assets, right? And a brand or a leader's reputation premium really rubs off on the company's valuation in this engagement age, unlike the broadcast era of the past.
Correct.
And I have worked in the corporate space. I was with Tech Mahindra earlier and have seen that corporates, multinationals, even small businesses, they struggle with the content and the storytelling part of it. Even if they have an in-house content team, the whole dedicated approach to content doesn't really come through. They lack that specialized expertise, which is very much required. When they are creating a digital asset, they'll hire a creative design agency, a tech development company, but for content, it will mostly be a freelance writer, right? And we very strongly felt that that approach was not working because content is really that key pillar where you decide your positioning, your messaging. It plays a key role in the outcome and perception you create for yourself and your brand, right? That is how I started thinking that companies need a content first digital approach, right? Strategizing on your positioning is the first thing that you should do, and then let that drive your design, let that translate into your development. With that thought in mind, we really started off. Today, in terms of sectors, we worked across sectors, the BFSI sector, tech sector, retail sector, agri sector. We have customers across sectors. We are able to build that expertise, in the customer sector because we do a very detailed exercise with every customer that we engage with, trying to understand their business challenges, opportunities, the perception challenges that they are facing and they want to address, right? We are able to look at their problems, which are essentially business problems, but solve them with content. And we honestly believe that every business problem can be solved with the right content. So if there's a particular perception challenge that a business has been facing, by having the right messaging out there based on true facts and honest communication, we are able to solve it. So I think in this 6-year journey, we have been able to build a marquee set of customers, from global multinational brands, who have been able to trust us for their content needs. We've been able to grow the team size to, we are about 18 to 20 of us today. And yes, to see large brands trust, an agency like us, which is young, with their content needs has been a high, and it has encouraged us to take this journey forward.
Okay. From the concept point of view, it all looks good. But again, to execute these ideas, you need people who can do things for enterprises. What you promise. So tell us about the people. How it all started. How did you take one baby step each time to uh, come this far?
Right. So I think when we started, a content focused agency was kind of unheard of. An agency which in fact specializes in content to have a differentiated approach, it stands out even today. All right. While the market is really crowded with digital agencies, the difference really has been that we have been able to build very deep engagements with customers. And in fact, in these COVID times, we have seen that communication and content has really seen a huge spotlight, right? Brands which were not really out there, they are, coming out there and, they want to be present on social media. They want to strengthen their narratives. So, of course, when we started, like I said, it was something which was unheard of. Talent has been a key, challenge for us as we service large enterprises. We require the right people, and I do believe that you can't build a solid business with mediocre people, right? So I think talent and hiring has been a key challenge. But in a way, the pandemic has proved to be a blessing. We've been able to hire people from across the country, across the world. So, today we have team members sitting in Kolkata, we have team members sitting in Singapore, and we have been able to build that team. But back when we started, of course, it was with that belief that yes, this is something which is needed, and this is something which customers need, and there is a gap that we saw which we started to address. And while we started from a very small space, with a few handful of us in a small setup, I think the encouragement or the excitement that we saw in customers when we presented our ideas or our proposition was really, really encouraging. We saw that there was value for this, and there was a huge opportunity for that. So I think that really encouraged us and kept us going. And I think till date, I can say that, the need or the opportunity for great content out there is enormous. It is something which every brand, every individual requires. And the challenge still remains, talent, because I think I think as many people as we speak to and we heard even from other entrepreneurs, fellow entrepreneurs, talent is really, the key thing that we need to crack.
That is so true. Um, Speaking of challenges, can you tell us what other challenges do you face on a day-to-day basis?
So I think currently, with everybody working from home, our entire team has been working in a fully remote model. And one of the challenges is really, to be able to ensure that we are all able to collaborate and bring together those ideas and, work in a, collaborative fashion. So I think operationally, ensuring that the speed of execution is maintained, ensuring that the quality is maintained, is something that is a challenge that we are looking to address on a daily basis. And I think otherwise, in terms of opportunity, like I said, the opportunity is there out there, but the key challenge is really in terms of hiring the right people and building a solid team which can take our vision forward. I think that is something I would say is the key challenge.
Also, speaking of hiring people, can you tell us a typical process that you follow to ensure that this is the right person for my organization, and we should take him or her in for our next few days?
Right. No, I think that is a very, very critical thing for us. For us, in our content and in our design team, we first, look at having that right, the right skill sets when it comes to creating content, right? So if it's a content writer, having impeccable English is something which is absolutely non-negotiable. Having a business understanding, because we work in the B2B space, we write for large players in the technology space and the BFSI space. So having a business understanding is very, very critical. Apart from the real skill sets which are required on the job, I really look for an eye for detail, because I think at the end of the day, customers trust us because they trust us with the entirety of the work, right? In fact, there are customers who've given us that feedback that, this is one team that works with us like they are part of our team. right? And when you have to service large customers in a way that you are a part of their team, you have to be really, really particular about the smaller, finer aspects. So I look for individuals who come with that passion, who have that eye for detail, and who have, a sense of executional rigor. I think that is very, very critical, because if we have made this journey in these 6 years, I believe it's because of the speed of execution with which we are able to deliver our solutions. So gone are the days where you take 6 months and 8 months to create a digital asset. Right now, it's all real time. It has to be turned around in weeks. And if you've adopted a strategy, you need to be able to pivot in real time, right? So to be able to deliver on that, you need a team which really, is very execution oriented. So apart from the core skills, if I'm looking at a writer in terms of content, or if I'm looking at a designer in terms of visualization, the other aspects I think are very, very critical when it comes to hiring. And that is really, eye for detail, a real passion. It's not like they're looking at it as a nine to five job. It's something that they're truly passionate about, and executional rigor. So I think that is really key.
Zahara, can you throw some light on what is the current scale of operation? Like how many clients we are servicing, or what is the scale of content we deliver on a day-to-day basis?
So I think currently there are requirements where we deliver content in real time on a daily basis to customers. There are monthly requirements as well. So the way we work with customers is either it's a project based model where we create the entire digital asset end to end. We start with the project creation, and we deliver the entire, for example, a corporate website, or it's very real time where on a daily basis we are creating content, right? So it's a team of 18 to 20 of us, delivering content, which is, either very real time daily for social media, or it's large corporate assets, which are like, hundreds of pages of, deeply researched content going into a corporate website and being delivered. So I would say the scale is, from the smallest to the largest, it really spans that. So it requires you to be on your toes for the real time daily stuff. At the same time, it requires a solid strategy to be able to create something which is a large content asset, online.
Now that you have reached so far, what is the agenda for the future? How do you envision the future? When I ask this question, I would also like you to include these elements in your answer. The things like AI-based content writer, and uh, the way I see it, in fact, the industry has been changing a lot in recent times. There has been some AI scripting tools which will write content just like humans do, although not as good quality yet, but soon it will be. So what are your thoughts and vision for the venture?
Right. So I think our vision is really, one in terms of scale, is we don't want to scale for the sake of scale. And there are reasons for that, because I think we have experienced that when you want to scale up and you want to grow, with only that goal in mind, somewhere the quality and, what you really set out to do initially, that gets compromised. So we've seen, different agencies take on work and then, putting, junior team members on the account, and then it kind of falls through. So for us, I think that senior team member, involvement has been key. So we are not looking at scale or growth for the sake of growth. We want to grow in a measured, in a slow and a steady manner, where we ensure that the core value for which customers come to us, the real insights and the real depth, is not lost. So I think that is one in terms of the vision for growing forward. I would want to scale it up slowly in a, steady and a measured manner. I think that is that. When it comes to AI creating content, I think there are, AI, bots out there which are creating content. But I find that the real ideation, or, the depth of ideas or the insights in that content is something which is missing. So if you have to rehash some content, AI is great. AI is a great assisting tool for us in terms of, refining our content or bettering something. It's great. Right, we use, we can use tools like that. But when it comes to the real ideas and the insights, I don't see the human element, becoming redundant going forward. In fact, the things which are repetitive or which are monotonous, AI will be something which will be like a friend or, a co-worker for you, which will work with you to, refine your process, better your content. But when it comes to the core, essential idea, the crux of the entire content, that is still something which will require human intervention. And that's really the skill or the, or the beauty or the craft of storytelling, which will still reside, with us humans. And we will only be able to, we can use AI to better ourselves, but the focus will really be on the, the core idea, which is very human oriented.
One thing, Zara, I am very curious to understand is how does development, and content integrate together? Now, when I ask this question, I understand most of the companies deal these three departments very differently. In fact, in most of the companies, design and content and development do not interact with each other also, and they can operate in silos. So, how do you think they come together and play a value? Uh,
Right. No, I think when they work in silos, it doesn't really work at the end of the day. It has to be integrated. And that is where our content first approach really, is what we feel makes a difference. So when you start by doing the right thinking strategy as far as your content is concerned, then that is pulled across or that flows into your design process, and you visualize things based on that content or that thought which, you are trying to achieve in terms of the outcome that you want, and then that flows into development. I think that is very critical. So within our team, the content team and the design team, while it starts with, everyone putting together the content strategy, it then flows, from the design team or from the content team working very closely with the design team, and then it finally moves into the development, which, actually sees the light of the day. But these three teams working closely in an integrated manner is very critical, because, there are incremental, innovations or incremental improvements that you keep doing through the process, right? So it's not like content's role has ended when the content has been created, right? They continue to be involved and add value because they see their content flow into design, and, that is how the entire process really works. So I think working in an integrated manner is something which is absolutely critical.
Now we will speak a little about uh, your personal side of being an entrepreneur. Uh, can you tell us how do you manage your time as an entrepreneur, especially when you are required to spend almost all of your time into your venture? Uh, you have to stay energetic, you have to stay consistent, but there would be situations where you feel burned out, tired, or restless. How do you manage such situations, and more importantly, how you manage time?
Right. So I think planning is very, very critical in terms of, listing down the smallest of things that you have to do in the day, and, and then prioritizing, and, like they say, eat that frog first, right? So killing the most important thing, the first thing in the day or the first thing in the morning is, I think, very critical. So planning your time, and, as an entrepreneur with a, small team, or a team where, you need to often jump in and do the smallest or the biggest or the most critical of things, right? So making a note of the smallest of things and the most critical of things, and then prioritizing it in your day, I think, is what really helps me, in planning my time. Because there are a number of fires burning at times, and, you really need to be on your toes, in firefighting mode, to be able to douse each of them, one after the other. In terms of energy, I think if you're passionate about what you do, and at the end of the day, if you see that, you're creating value for customers, and there is an excitement at the customers end also with what you're delivering, it just automatically gives you that energy to, keep on going. right? And I honestly believe don't fall for things like, work smart and not hard, because I think there are no shortcuts. So you have to keep working hard. You need to keep a simple, focused, clear vision, and keep hustling. At the end, you will get lucky.
Okay. Uh, what would you say is the meaning of entrepreneurship to you? How would you define the term entrepreneur?
So I would say entrepreneurship is when you create and build with your mind and not just your time, right? When you're doing a typical 9 to 5 job, you're just there. People typically work with that mindset of just there and doing what they are required to do, and that's all, right? But here, your entire mind, all your energies are, dedicated to creating or building what you set out to do in terms of your vision. So I really believe it's about you building with your mind and not just your time. And I think that is really the key difference between, entrepreneurship and, what we say intrapreneurship today with, employees within an organization, right? So I think that is the key difference, and that is what it really means to me.
In today's time, there are two primary kind of business model revolving around the industry we operate. Uh, it can be either product-driven company or a service-driven company. When it is product-driven, you get the scalability factor. Once you build a good product, it scales up really fast. But when you are into service-driven business, there are so many clients, and uh, you have to spare your time for each client. So it's again coming down to how much time you can afford to each client, and it's not a
Right.
scalable model. So what are your thoughts on that?
So that's definitely true. I think that's the reality of being in a services business. If you're offering something which is niche, you're offering something which is very, human talent or skill dependent, that is a challenge. But I think the alpha that you can get in a product business, you can get that, alpha if you have been, at it for a long period of time, right? So I think to work its magic, compounding needs continued velocity for a long period of time, right? Success is often just good work, but done for an uncommonly long period of time. So I think for services companies to be able to focus on their niche, not dilute that niche for a long period of time, I think is key to be able to get, an alpha like typically product companies do.
Okay, that's a very interesting answer. uh, Now, coming back to my series of questions, can you tell us what are some of the failures that you have gone through as an entrepreneur?
I think one of the failures, and fortunately or unfortunately, which we have, repeated and learned from, is really, not spending that much time on hiring. I think, we realized over a period of time that the hire and fire policy, doesn't really work. It just, pushes you back in terms of your projected, growth timeline significantly. So I think that has been a key challenge. I wouldn't call it a failure, because I think over a period of time we've learned that, we'd rather spend that time, in getting the right talent in, because, like I said, in a services business, that is the most critical asset for us, right? So I think in terms of, like I said, I wouldn't call it a failure, but a challenge. That is a key thing, to be able to spend significant time. So we have adjusted our strategies to see that, we work with the talent, in a significant way before we actually take them on board full time, right? So either it's, assignments, or some other way where we spend significant time before we actually bring that talent on board, and then we are more sure of, the hiring decision.
One key challenge in service business, especially those businesses where you get recurring revenue from the client, is retaining the client for a long period of time. How do you retain clients?
So I don't think there is any magic formula to retaining clients, but if I have to look back at the last 6 years, I don't think there has been any client that has really left us. In fact, every client engagement has only grown. And in fact, there have been times where we have, in a way decided that, okay, now this is not making sense and we need to kind of disengage. But in terms of clients leaving us, that has not really happened because we maintain, that depth of engagement. Like I said, we don't leave it to, maybe a junior team member servicing the client. The client sees that value, month on month, day on day, and that really keeps them growing. In fact, we are able to, grow businesses. I have accounts which started in a very, very small way. The customer decided to trust us with something small to begin with, but it has grown significantly, with 3 years, 4 years, 5 year period. So I think retaining clients really is not a challenge or will not be a challenge if you ensure that the quality of work that you deliver is getting better, and you create delight with every smallest thing that you deliver to a customer. Then client retention is never really a challenge.
Okay. Let me give you a situation where you are operating at a full throttle level, and all of your resources are fully loaded, and there a new client comes in. How would you react to such a situation? Would you take him on board, or would you let the client go because you don't have the bandwidth?
So, in terms of bandwidth, I think even if the team is completely chock a block, there is always a pipeline of, that we try and maintain. So, if there is a new client which is coming on board, we will take some time to plan and, bring on people from that pipeline and train them, maybe buy some time from that customer, because it will take some time to, for us to be able to even understand the customer's exact requirements, do the discovery workshop with the client. And in the meantime, the pipeline of talent, is going to fill up, that bandwidth, which is currently not there. So I think that is how it really works.
Okay. How do you compare entrepreneurship with a 9 to 5 job? When I talk about entrepreneurship, I'm talking about especially the service business kind of entrepreneurship. How do you compare it with a 9 to 5 job?
So I think it cannot be compared to a 9 to 5 job at all. Even if we try and maintain that balance in terms of, when you're typically in a 9 to 5 job, you shut yourself at the end of the day by 5, and it's closed, right? You don't really think about it. But here, as an entrepreneur, there are burning issues, which keep you awake at night. It kind of stretches through your day. It's a 24/7 thing in the mind. Even if physically you may not be at it beyond 9 to 5, we look at ensuring that the team has today a sense of a work life balance, when we work, right? So we have our weekends off. We don't encourage late evening calls with customers. We ensure that the team has that freedom and that space, because only then you can really do creative work, right? So that is there. But as an entrepreneur, there are still things which you're constantly thinking of. You're constantly thinking of your next step, and that really has no time limit. It can't happen in a 9 to 5 kind of a mind frame. So it's a 24/7 thing if you're truly passionate about it. So I don't think there is any comparison there.
Okay. My final question now. Tell us the different lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur, which we can take away and apply to our venture as well as our lives.
Right. So I think the first lesson would be to be courageous. Right? You need to have that belief and be courageous about the fact that you want to start something and go for it. Right? Once you've set on that path, however, don't be afraid to course correct. Because it's a very dynamic environment out there. Things are changing very rapidly. I think especially in the post-COVID world or in the COVID world, we've seen that nothing is certain. So you have to be, you can't be afraid to course correct. You have to, in fact, pivot in real time. There will be times where you feel totally lost and out of control, but be prepared for that reality before you are prepared for that dream that you want to achieve. So I think not giving up too quickly is another thing. I think that's a key lesson.
Okay. On this note, I would say we have come to our end of the discussion. It was a great pleasure to host you. Thanks for your time, Zahra, and our best wishes for.
Absolutely, Priya. My pleasure as well.